In Russian villages, a woman is not a symbol of delicacy, but the last line of defense against winter, hunger, and the complete collapse of civilized order. Where men are gone because of alcohol, emigration, or death, the woman takes over not only the home but the entire farm. She chops wood, digs potatoes, leads the cow to the barn, and patches the leaking roof herself, because there is no one to call and no help will come. Each of her days begins at dawn, when in the frost and darkness she must light the stove so the room becomes bearable for at least a few hours. When the temperature drops below -30, her hands are still bare, because the gloves were destroyed the previous winter. Water does not flow from a tap, because there is no tap. She must go to the well, no matter the snow, mud, or blizzard, carrying buckets bigger than a shopping bag. The toilet is a wooden outhouse in the corner of the yard, where in January the seat freezes solid, and in March it sinks in mud up to the knees. There is no washing machine, so clothes are washed by hand in cold water without detergent, because detergent from the city costs as much as 3 loaves of bread. The nearest shop is 7 kilometers away, but there is no bus, no taxi, and no sidewalk. Only a clay road that in autumn turns into a swamp. The doctor lives 30 kilometers away, but without a neighbor with a tractor there is no chance of getting there, even in case of sudden pain or fever. A hospital is a luxury 100 kilometers away, so women learn to stitch their own wounds and treat children with garlic, spirits, and boiling water. Their diet is potatoes, eggs, and pickled cucumbers. Everything they can grow, preserve, and ferment themselves, because in the shop, meat costs as much as a pension. Sometimes they manage to kill a chicken or a pig, but then they must have the strength to butcher it, and then preserve the meat so it is eaten by hunger, not rot. Grain is sown by hand, dried in the attic, and flour is ground in an old mill that still remembers Brezhnev and rattles like a tank on maneuvers. For winter they make preserves, dozens of jars with everything gathered within 300 meters. Mushrooms, beets, carrots, cabbage, and apples. Women in Russian villages do not know the word rest, because in this world no one has holidays. The pig will not wait, and the wood will not chop itself. Their faces are worn down by frost, sun, and hard work, and their hands bear calluses unseen even among construction workers. Young girls do not want to live like this. They flee to the city, to jobs, to any tiny flat with running water and the hope that their children will not have to carry water in buckets. The village empties, and at its center remain old women in their 60s, who still remember queues for sugar and wooden milk containers. These women become the foundation that holds the last fragments of this community. They cook, feed, clean, help each other, and pray that the power does not go out. Their life is not a choice, but a necessity. They live because someone must, and they are in no hurry to die, because no one else will take care of the house, the dogs, and the old cat. Time flows differently there, without internet, without smartphones, with a clock in the head and the signals of the day. Dawn, the sun, smoke from the chimney, and the cry of the rooster. When rain falls, hay must be hidden quickly, and when frost comes suddenly, they run with buckets to the barn and pray the pipes do not burst. In a world where the nearest drugstore is dozens of kilometers away, women make their own cosmetics from whatever they find in the garden or pantry. They rinse their hair with water, smear their face with strange cream, and rub their hands with linseed oil that had first been used for salads. When there is no cream, they make a cucumber mask, because that is what their mothers and grandmothers did, and nature has never failed anyone. There is no place here for vanity, because in the fight with wind and cold it is practicality that matters, not the glow of skin or the color of lips. Their wrinkles are not defects. They are the history of every winter, every tear, and every night by the stove with a sick child. Many of these women live alone, because the husband left, drank himself to death, or beats so often that it is better to sleep in the barn than under the same roof, Domestic violence is still often a taboo subject. Bruises are not spoken of, and the police, if they come at all, will arrive only after the holidays. A lawyer? An attorney? Those are concepts from television. Here, the problem is solved in silence, or with the help of a neighbor who once went through the same. A pension, if it exists at all, ranges from $90 to $130 a month, which barely covers bread, salt, and a few candles. That is why women trade what they have: eggs from hens, milk from cows, herbs from the meadow, and dried mushrooms they gather all summer long. Their economy is a barter system. For a jug of milk, you get help planting potatoes, and for a handful of porcini mushrooms, someone will fix the roof. Technology reaches here slowly. The smartphone lies in a drawer because reception is only on the hill or at the kitchen window if the wind does not blow. The internet is a luxury. It works only with an external antenna, which freezes in winter and attracts lightning in summer, so it must be disconnected every night. The main window to the world is the television, which receives 3 channels, sometimes a radio with static and howling in the background. But that is still better than silence. Against this backdrop appears something that saves: female solidarity, which cannot be bought, but can be felt in every crisis. Older women organize joint prayers, meet to peel potatoes, prepare holidays, and support each other in mourning a neighbor. In a world where the state has forgotten them, they create their own system, a community that works without subsidies, funds, or development strategies. When someone falls ill, another woman brings chicken broth. When one loses her husband, another comes with bread and does not ask questions, just sits beside her. During gatherings, they sing songs they have known since childhood, not from sheets, but from memory, because here memory is a treasury, not a relic. Their strength does not lie in muscles or in words, but in endurance, which cannot be learned in the city or read about in a guidebook. Though life gives them nothing for free, they can still laugh, sometimes at themselves, sometimes at the weather, and sometimes at the fact that they have survived another winter. They do not speak of feminism, they do not march with banners. Their everyday life is more brutal and more real than all ideologies combined. They are quiet, but indestructible, like birches in a January forest, bending under the snow, but always returning upright in spring. Each of them is a story that no one has written down, but one that can be felt in the air when you cross the threshold of their modest homes, scented with smoke and bread. When they are gone, an entire world will disappear with them. Not one built of concrete and glass, but of work, memory, prayer, and strength that no one ever taught, because it was born from survival.